Menopause Whisper. I am so glad you're here for this video that is on strong, steady, and supportive. Now you probably say, well, what does that all mean? I want you to know you need to reclaim your strength and energy through menopause. So often women say to me, you know what, I am tired. I don't feel like I can do anything anymore. But I want you to know this is just a change, and I want you to rethink it and know that you can renew your body and your strength. Now, let's think about what are some of the ways that this can be done. Now, during this stage, hormonal shifts are occurring. Knowledge is important, and once you know the hormones are impacting your bones, and that's why they keep asking you, have you fell in the last year? Your bones become more brittle. Your metabolism, people say, oh, I've been gaining weight, and then they say, I'm fatigued. But we want you to understand with this transition, these are the solutions that go along with it. Okay, let's keep going. I thought it was important to each week talk about this transition, but also this is renewal in a way that we can see step by step. The first week had to do with building our bones, becoming strong foundation. The next one is about the metabolism change. Let's look of how our lifestyle can make a change in our metabolism, having energy, being mobile, the different opportunities we have to have movement. At the very end, we take all of these components, pull them together, and develop our own plan, your blueprint. Okay, let's start off first of all with foundation. Our bones, our strength, it comes together. Yes, there's the decline of estrogen. Yes, there's a loss of bones, but there's a way to protect it and rebuild it. Let's also say, what can I do? First of all, it's the nutrition. What are you taking into your body? We're also talking about vitamin D and movement, critical components that oftentimes no one talks about. You're not giving people the tools they need to move on. But let's think about it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Let's look at small increments of what you can do daily. Let's think about our meals. How can we add green vegetables to our meals? How about maybe going outside for 10 to 15 minutes? You're at work, you've been inside all day. Go outside, walk around the corner, or move with purpose, like stretching or dancing in the kitchen while you're cooking, or just walking the dog. Let's look at the metabolism in menopause. Once we understand that we get past, oh, I'm getting fat, to that my metabolism has shifted and what things I can do to help build that, then we feel empowered. And the main thing is developing our muscles. Like Popeye, they talked about that back in the day. Let's look at ways we can build our muscles and then think about focusing on being strong in the midst of it. And we talked earlier about it is important to be strong. Let's give some daily lifestyle tips. Nutrition, we talked about the different foods we should be eating. We first talked about green vegetables, but what about proteins? A recommendation could be said, okay, let's look at what we eat and how many grams of protein. This is recommended to maybe for breakfast have 25 grams of protein. Staying hydrated. Look at doing strength training. A lot of times we think about fat, but with strength training, we're talking about building those muscles. Now, week 3, we talked about energizing and mobilizing. Movement. Movement is our greatest medicine. When we move, we don't just change our body, it's a whole process of renewing ourselves. Let's think about some actions we can take to do that. A 7-day Energize plan, weekly movement plan. Talk about what you're going to have a plan for what we eat, but also a movement plan. If it's not fun, if it's not motivating, let's look at something else. Sometimes people say, I do cardios, but I want you to think about strength. We talked about that, but also flexibility. Even before you get out of bed in the morning, what things can we do to make us more flexible? And looking at tracking this and noticing the change. I had developed a workbook for people to use to be able to do this. Now, how do we connect all aspects of our health? How do we say, okay, I'm looking at my bones, I'm looking at my nutrients, I'm looking at my movement, and how can it all work together? Sometimes we just isolate, put things in silos rather than saying, I am a total person, mind, body, and spirit. I'm more than just my hips, my bones, I have my arms. How can I work at everything together? And that's why we put together that plan. Let's look at the big picture. Now, here is this stronger for you blueprint. What we're going to do with our bone health, what we're going to do with our metabolism, what we're going to do with muscle strength, and also movement. I want you to start reflecting on some of the things we talked about in this video. Give yourself a progress report. Now, I started to think about this. What's the next step? What am I intentionally going to do to make this change? Ask yourself one action I am committed to doing this month. You might say, just for this month, I'm going to work on movement, or just for this month, I'm going to work on nutrients, and just for this week, I'm going to work on cardio, and maybe next week, I'll put in flexibility. I want you to remember this. I am building strength and vitality from inside out. Yes, I am building strength and vitality from inside out. Also, I wanted you to know over the next month or so, starting in 2026, I'm looking at building a community, a sisterhood, ways that we can talk about some of our concerns or look at various workshops. It's not going to be long things, but just something that we can give you just a piece of information and you can run with it. So, what are the things we learned this month? Let me remind you, knowledge empowers, movement heals, and nourishment sustains, and connection to one another restores. Remember, strong, steady, and supportive. Thank you for this journey of information that can make us live this menopausal journey on purpose.